one championship, one trophy. It all comes down to this here on LSRTV as we get ready to crown the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking Champion here tonight from Homestead, Miami. I'm Jacob Seelman alongside Evan Pasoko, and we're getting ready to bring you through all the action as we go through what is bound to be one exciting and thrilling championship bout here in Miami. I just, it all comes down to this, Evan. I don't know how many words there are to say. Four guys: Jonathan Cadell, Eric Grundy, Dan Murray, Thomas George. One of them will be hoisting the trophy in victory lane at this race's end. Right now, Cadell's fired the warning shot, and I don't know which one of the four is going to win it. They've all been up there here throughout the course of this season, 31 races, and now we've got one remaining to decide who will hoist the big hardware. I can't wait.
Yeah, all of our guys that are eligible for the championship have not been anything lower than 7th so far in practice and so far through qualifying, with just about a minute and a half left. And this is race 32 on the season. The 31 other ones are irrelevant at this point for the guys that have been able to make it to this point in the season. All you got to do is go out there and beat those other three guys. Sounds easy enough until you look at the guys that are in there. You mentioned Brundy's, Cadell, George Murray. It's a toss-up with how close they're running right now on track. This track is loose. You're going to have to make it the 120 laps, and if the end is anything as crazy as we saw at Phoenix 1 week ago, we're going to be in for a treat tonight.
180 miles. It's the RSR championship race. I mean, you look at Brundy's, who's dominated the points all season long. He led the regular season by triple digits at the end of Richmond. Cadell, who won once, but it was all he needed to get into the chase, and now he sits here on the cusp of the championship. You've got Dan Murray, who won at Martinsville to punch his ticket to Homestead after not winning a race all season. And you've got Thomas George, who won twice during the regular season and has been steady consistent during this championship. I don't know about you, Evan. Who do you like tonight?
Well, I want to go with the favorites. And, you say favorites, you look at how they have performed over, the course of the season. Your gut wants to tell you the 94 of Eric Brundy's. He's been one of the strongest cars, but it doesn't matter his success at the short tracks. It doesn't matter how consistent he's been at the 1.5 mile trial. Because this is a 1.5 mile racetrack, but it's one unlike any other that we've run on the circuit. Homestead Miami Speedway is a track all of its own. So really all we have to go off of, unless we're going to look back to 2013, 2012, finishing orders and how they ran and performed at this track, all we have to look at is, where they're starting, where they were in practice, and they're all so close. Again, nobody that is out of these four chase drivers has been anywhere lower than 7th, as qualifying is going to be coming to a close in just under a minute here. I want to say the 94 of Brundy's. He's my Kevin Harvick pick, one of the strongest all season long, but that doesn't mean you can't have a guy here. How about Dan Murray? He solidly improved throughout the year. You mentioned Thomas George. Jonathan Cadell could be a dark horse in this one as well. It's going to be so tight, but if I had to choose one, I'd have to go with the 94 car.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why as we get set, grid up this field and race for it. I think there is going to be a clutch performance tonight. Somebody is going to rise from the ashes and surprise us all here tonight, Evan. And as tough as it is for me to go against that Shell Pennzoil Ford Fusion, I'm going to go with the guy who I think has been the clutch performer of this chase. I'm going to go with the 55, Dan Murray, to win this title. You talk about clutch. He's done that. He's won when he's needed to. He's run up front when he's needed to. And I think that 55 finds a way to the front to win this title. I think it's going to come down to strategy, but I think the 55 gets it done. Right now, though, the guy who's got all the cards is a guy who's not in the chase. Adam Benefiel wins the final pole of 2014 with a lap of 31.480 seconds. He is on the pole in that SimPit Ford Fusion alongside the highest qualifying of our chase contenders, Jonathan Cadell, driving the Strutmasters Amsoil number 11 Toyota.
David Comstock going to be starting inside on row number 2. The 20 Monster Energy entry going to be starting from 3rd position. And my pick for tonight's championship battle, the Shell Pennzoil Ford, that's Eric Brundy, starting P4.
P5 tonight going to be a teammate to Cadell and Benefield. The number 15 Amsoil entry of Greg Evans. Alongside him, a former chaser, the 41 Haas Chevrolet of Nathan Little.
Got another Amsoil entry right back here in P7. Dan Murray going to be piloting that number 55 car from that starting position. Alongside him, Corbin Hemstreet, the Boomtown Sim Chevrolet, going to be starting in 8th.
Starting 9th, the 68, Scott Simley, who was in the chase up until the very end. And 10th tonight, one of the veterans of this series, the 60, who got a win at Chicagoland, John Higman Jr.
Thomas J. George going to be rolling from the inside of row 6. That's P11 for his team. Going to try to improve on that throughout the night as they battle for the championship. And Jimmy North alongside him, good starting position for the Cumberland team. They're starting in 12th.
Steve Gottschalk, the 91 13th. Scott Stenzel, the heroic driver in this year's chase, who just saw it unravel at the end. The 42 starts 14th, the Mittler Brothers entry.
Brett McBraun going to be rolling off from 15th position. Alongside him, that 48 car, that's Kevin Linden.
Mark Bratcher rolls 17th in the 25. Jose Gonzalez got a win in this chase a week late. He's back tonight in the Meatball Mobile. The 26 starts 18th.
Brian Harvey going to be on the inside of row 10. That's 19th starting position. Alongside him, rounding out the top 20 is going to be the 36 of Rich Jett.
Rich Jett just said over the radio it's going to be a slobber knocker tonight. I think he's right. Jason Lester, former chaser, starts 21st in the Advocare machine. Brennan Mercer, 22nd in the Gary Mercer trucking number 29. Heath Brooks Jr. starts 23rd. He's the last car to take time. Provisionals on the night. Matt Lacrosse, John Abbott, LD Sarabia, John Wilco, Stephen Herring. It's a short field tonight. 28 cars. But that is because 28 cars are the strongest of the season, and they want to see how this championship battle plays out as we get set to roll. It's a pair, or rather a Toyota and a Ford on the front row. Benefield, Cadell, the final American Ethanol green flag goes in the air this season. We are underway as the 85 Ford Fusion gets a fantastic start. The stiff pit entry to the point, and to second goes the Monster Energy number 20, David Comstock on the charge to turn 2.
Jonathan Cadell will slide back to the number 3 spot. That 20 of Comstock got that run down on the bottom after starting 3rd. He will take 2nd. Down the back, the first battle going to be for 4th. It is the 15 of Greg Evans to the inside. He wants a spot for the 94 of Eric Grundy. He's going to start P4, will exit the corner. Just one position back from that. He'll slide back to 5th at a 4.
And one thing we're going to be watching all night, Sunday at Homestead, we saw the high lane work so well, Evan, and that was the momentum way around this racetrack. However, on this service, not always the case. We should, I believe, see the bottom work a whole lot better tonight than it did yesterday afternoon during the Cup race, only because of the way the physics and the dynamics of this sim work. I think the bottom, at least for a lot longer in this run tonight, will be the place to be early.
Yeah, going right up against the fence is not going to be the go-to strategy here by any means, but one thing that I have noticed that these Cup cars at the Homestead Miami Speedway they can do is, yeah, you can catch that guy up front, but if he goes to the inside, if you pinch him down, that outside lane could actually put up quite a good challenge on corner exit, and that's not saying up against the fence. I'm just saying if you're up on that high side, you can kind of restrict that car down on the bottom, give him the limitations on how much room, how much racetrack he can use. You can be able to hold him off, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Passing could be very difficult here tonight. We are bumper to bumper for P4. Eric Brundy's, since being overtaken by Greg Evans, has been all over the back bumper of that machine. Now the 15 is going to let the 94 go and move Brundy's back up the 4th spot.
And that right now would be the battle for the championship for P3. The 11, Jonathan Cadell, 94, Eric Brundy. So those are the top 2 in the title fight right now. The 1 of Thomas George, he has moved up to the 8th position already, up 3 spots after starting in the 11th position. So all 4 title contenders inside the top 8 right now as the 60 gets loose down the front straightaway. John Higman Jr.'s car turned dead left, and he'll lose a couple of positions on the racetrack, but hang on to it. That 60 machine, after a win in Chicago, not off to the same great start here tonight at Homestead, but the guy who is off to the great start, Evan, the 85, Adam Benefield. He leads by about 3 car lengths over a charging David Comstock.
Yeah, Benefiel and his teammate Jonathan Cadell were able to put their Steel Horse Racing entries up on that front row at the initial start of it. Comstock was able to get through to second, and the top two trying to run away with this one. Look at Comstock trying out that high side, or maybe overdrove it a little bit. He's playing around with it, seeing what he can do, and does not really gain anything that time. He's going to get a wicked run coming out of corner number 2, but don't think it was worth the position and the time that he lost. But they're about 0.8 of a second good, or about a second between the leader back to Jonathan Cadell, who sits third right now. So those top two trying to put on a show, starting to pull away here. Still early though, only lap 6 being in the works at the stripe.
Yeah, and you know, I think we're going to talk about all night long how important clean air is, and you're going to see 2 or 3 guys, if they can get to the front of the field, start to pull away at least for a while until the tires run off this deal. But obviously, besides the leaders, we'll be keeping an eye on the chase contenders all night long, and I'm watching that battle for third, Evan. The 11 and the 94, Cadell and Brundys, they're really starting to compact right here, and it's not going to be too long, I don't think, before we have a battle for that position. Brundys is really starting to close just a little bit on that number 11 machine, and that 94 car, like you said, he's been so good at the intermediate style racetracks this year, and he's never been really good at the very beginning of a race. It always seems like it takes about 20-30 laps for that car to come in, or for them to use a little bit of off-the-wall strategy to get some track position, but once they get it, look out.
See that 11 car fighting with the handle now off the corner. Huge run, no challenge. Brundys going to go to the inside. They'll be neck and neck going into the corner. Expect the 94 to get it right there. 11 machine backs it up, and he's not going to be able to take another shot at it. So move Brundys back up to the number 3 spot, and again, that right now would put him in the spot for the championship, but we still got over 110 laps to go. So that position, not all that important at the moment. It will come into effect. Every spot's going to matter when it comes time to either hitting pit road, especially under yellow flag conditions, lining up whether you're going to be on the inside or the outside road. But it's also a statement that Brundys is making, blowing by Jonathan Cadell here early in the race as well, letting him know that the 94 car is not going to be playing games tonight. He's here to win it.
He's been here to win it all season, and he's done it more than anyone. 5 wins on the year, Evan. That's most in the full throttle cup season. I mean, when hasn't this car been in contention to win a race this year? I can only think of once, maybe twice, last week at Phoenix really being one of them, when they had a damaged race car and still came back for a solid top 10 result. I mean, there's just not been a time this season when that car has not shown speed and shown the will to win. And I think that's going to be a lot of what this championship comes down to tonight, is going to be who wants it the most. You know, we talked about Ryan Newman, who finished second in the Cup Series championship race after one of the most thrilling drives I've ever seen. He had all the heart to take it to Kevin Harvick and just couldn't pitch it in there on that last lap, because he did it once at Phoenix and said he didn't want to do it again. I think it might just come down to something like that tonight. And right now, I think Eric Brundys is showing that he wants it, and he's not afraid to go out and take it to these guys early.
And we also have to bring into effect here and discuss the guys playing spoiler per se. You know, Adam Benefiel, he wants to put it in victory lane to make a statement as well, in the fact that he is no longer eligible to make the championship, was eliminated after the contender round. He wants to make it in victory lane. He's been fast all night, fastest in practice, and I mean, blew everybody else out of the water by over a tenth in qualifying. It's a statement race right now for the 85 as well. So all of these other guys in this mix, again, right now, our chase drivers not exactly all lined up. They're pretty close to it. You got Brundys, Cadell, Greg Evans is 5th, then Murray and George. So we have to keep into effect as well some of these other cars that could be getting in between the mix, in the middle of these fights going on track, what kind of roles they will play in the outcome of this one.
Yeah, and that, you know, you never want to say that's what it's going to come down to, but right now we're 13 laps into this race as the leaders cross the start-finish line, and we haven't seen a caution, and that's rather unusual, honestly, given what we've seen the last 4 or 5 races here, Evan, as we go on board with the 11 of championship contender Jonathan Cadell, looking from his viewpoint right now. I mean, it's unusual. Normally, the last couple races we've seen a caution before now, and they're green so far. I'm liking it.
I said it before, and I'm thinking this track is loose, loose, loose. We saw it in qualifying. Everybody trying to get everything they could out of a lap, and it took a lot of guys 5 attempts just to get one down because they pulled it off the track. Added 2 half the time because that car just sliding and sliding. The back end would not stay behind them. This racetrack, it's just so loose, especially coming off on the quarter exit, just as I say that. Matt Lacrosse over there has announced that it is the tightest, loosest race car he's ever driven. So that's an interesting combination of the two, and everybody seems to agree with him. We do have a battle brewing up here for P4. We've been on board with that 11, Jacob, and we were looking up to see if he was going to be able to close in on Brundys. He better start looking in the rear view mirror because Greg Evans, that Amsoil machine, starting to challenge.
It's a teammate. I wouldn't be too worried about it right now, Evan, at least not when there's a championship on the line. And speaking of championships, now we get to bring a guy into this LSR broadcast booth who knows a thing or two about watching these guys run for a title, because he's been a big part of this series for the last 3 years, and that is Mercer, who's really been overseeing exactly how this championship has gone the last couple weeks. Brennan stepping out of the car after taking the green flag, really to just take a look at how this is going to play out tonight. And I don't think you could have scripted it any better than this. All 4 of the chase cars within 5 right now. Only Greg Evans kind of splitting the difference right now, splitting the deck. But early on, a lot of green flag racing, which we like because we haven't seen much of here lately. But the 94, Evan called it, at least here in the early goings. Brundys not going to run second. He's taking no prisoners here in the early stages.
Yeah, so far so good. It's looking like a pretty good race for the championship. Looks like Eric's got control of the car, and he was pretty fast in practice. But I just want to segue a little bit here. This is the last race of the season. We had a fantastic and fun race. I mean, we had some highs, we had some lows. And just want to give a shout out to all these guys here. And they put on a great show week in and week out. I mean, for all it's worth, I mean, this has probably been the most fun that I've had, especially with this chase format, racing on the racing service and with the RSR.
You and John Abbott and all the guys that go into making this RSR sanction and this Full Throttle Cup Series, especially this year, happen over the course of the 2014 season. You guys made the decision to implement the NASCAR-style chase and the new elimination style just before the start of the season, hoping that it would play out really exactly like it has. Could you have asked for any more from this, and what all really has gone into making this season, from your point of view, be as successful as it's been?
Well, what we try to do, what we try to strive for, is try to mimic NASCAR season to 40 to 50% race distance, and that's our main goal. So when they brought in the new chase format, we were on top of it right away. I was on Twitter tweeting Jennifer Iyer back and forth and trying to get, because she was the one who broke the story, trying to get all the details just so that we can get our league to do it correctly. And honestly, I think it's worked flawlessly. I mean, last couple of years we had guys run away with the championship. This year, if we would have done it the past way, I think Eric would have ran away with the championship this season. But I mean, now it comes down to a final race, and the first one of the 4 wins.
It's going to be fun to watch right now. Brundys leading the championship fight, and Brennan, we'll kind of keep you up here to party with us throughout the night, because obviously you bring a driver's perspective to this as well. For these 4 guys, and you've been involved, maybe not necessarily in a situation like the one that they're in this year, but you've been involved in a lot of these races over the course of your time on the service, and been in some pressure situations. What's going through these guys' heads right now? I mean, we're only 22 laps in of 120 tonight, but what's going through these guys' heads, running 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th, knowing what they have to do to win a championship? It's a lot of pressure. We keep coming back to that word, but it really is.
It's nerves. I mean, I can tell you, every single race, I have 3 race jitters, and I try to get them calm. But I remember I got eliminated at Dover during the chase, and I was like, my elbows were shaking because I was trying to get as many positions as I could. So that's the one thing. I know these guys aren't professionals. They're not used to the pressure. So you might see something like that where nerves might get a hold of them, and they might make a few mistakes. So I think that's probably one of the things that that, I mean, this one race out of 32 races, I mean, like, you can go, something can go wrong here, and it can be due to pressure and the nerves. So I think that's the one thing. I just want to give a quick shout out here quickly to, I got to thank my wife, Maggie. She lets me do this every Monday night, and before I kind of get in the back chair here, I just want to give her a shout out really quickly for putting up with my yelling that goes on in the basement, and just want to give her a thank you.
She certainly deserves it, as do I know a lot of similar people who allow these guys to do this on a Monday night. It's been fun to watch all season, Brennan. We'll have you here throughout the show because you'll be watching it with us. But right now, Evan, I want to go back to something I just saw about a lap or so ago, lap 24. Just an excruciatingly nerve-wracking moment for the 11 of Jonathan Cadell, who was trying to lap the 98 machine. I believe that was Stephen Herring, and almost caught the safer barrier on the front straightaway. It was such a tight squeeze between Herring, Cadell, and the wall. He shot the gap with maybe an inch to spare and keeps chasing the 94 of Brundys, but it's moments like that that have got to make you as driver just on the edge with the nerves like Brennan talked about, because just a little mistake like that, you're out of it.
It's all about keeping a rhythm. You want to get into a groove, and you just want to be out there logging laps. So when you have a close call like that, although you make it through it, you start to second guess yourself, and you back it down a little bit, and you lose focus, and you can't afford to do that in such a high pressure, high risk situation like you would be if you're in the position of that number 11 machine right now, who is the second car out of our chase drivers, just behind Brundys, who's working over a lap machine right now. That's the number 21 machine, who's going to be going a second lap down.
Oh, the cross tags the wall.
Yeah, and this is not going to be the only people. He's a lap car, so he stayed high and he caught the fence. But that's the next point I was going to bring up, Jake. But the way that safer barrier actually jets out of the concrete retaining wall going into the corner, we've seen a couple times here, and I saw a couple times in practice as well. You're going to see somebody in a side-by-side battle. They take that high line, and just that the safer barrier juts out at them with no warning. They're going to get sucked into the wall. It's pretty hard to get it off the wall. It's going to cost you some damage. It'll cost you a lot of time. That's another thing you can't afford.
Yeah, you can, and I think that's why we're seeing these guys run such a conservative line right now. As we take a look at it, and Jonathan Cadell, that battle with his teammate, and it's going to be tight all night. But Greg Evans just trying to power through, and the Amsoil machines, they're going at it. And how much does that get on you right there, Evan, when you got a teammate who might be faster than you and now gets around him? Every point is so critical right now.
The one car of Thomas George is over the radio, and he is in a 3-wide situation nearly with the 69 and the 21 cars coming out of 4. And those guys are talking over the radio. I'm sure that Greg and Jonathan, they're letting each other know, and I could tell the 15 he caught up to when he kind of hung back, and nearly caught the wall there. Was Greg Evans. Actually, I think he may have got a little bit of damage, which is resemblant to a little bit of a white scratch on the roof there that tends to happen when you touch the wall in iRacing. But they've been discussing it. The 15, I think, backed it down just a little bit, was kind of riding around behind the 11 machine, and then they determined to let the 15 car go because Jonathan pretty much just entered corner number 1 high, really didn't put up much of a challenge when Greg went down to the bottom. And now he may try to get a little bit of a draft off that 15 machine, and they don't want Brundys to pull away too far. I mean, 30 laps into the green flag run, don't want to say it's going to go green all the way or for a prolonged period of time. You can't let that 94 sneak away, but Greg's going to be able to get up the 4th. It doesn't really matter points, I guess we'll say. Even if there's a car in front of you, there's no difference than if you're the car behind the guy you're chasing. You just got to beat him. You're not coming into this thinking as the 11 car, I got to beat him by 1 position, or he can only be ahead of me by 1 spot. It doesn't matter how many cars are in between you and him. You need to be in front of him when it's all said and done.
Yeah, very, very true. And it's as much about positions tonight. You're right, Evan, as far as positions between the championship 4, and it does come down to points at the end. But in the end, you're right. At the same breath, it's the 94, the 11, the 55, and the 1. And the 11, 55, and 1 now run nose to tail 5, 6, and 7 on the racetrack, with Brundys up there in position number 3. And I was taking a look, you were talking about Greg Evans, who now is really driving up towards the 94 Brundage. We were talking about him, and he actually did. I was able to get a good look going into turn 3 a lap or so ago, and he's got some damage. He pancaked the right side of that AMSOIL machine, so not sure how much it's really going to affect that car. It doesn't look like so far it's actually affected it at all because he just keeps closing on that 94. But right now, Evans, he's pancaked that right side just a little bit, but he's not giving up on it. He is all over the rear deck lid of that Ford Fusion of Eric Brundage, and that's the challenge for the 3rd spot going down the back straightaway.
That 15 machine just about spun that thing out, coming at it too, trying to give it a little bit more, going side by side and on board with that bumper cam. Taking a look back at the 15, only half a car length back, and what this is forcing, or what Greg is rather forcing Eric to do, is give it a little bit more, and hoping that he could possibly force an error. Again, Jonathan Goodell not too far behind this either. I mean, only 4 car lengths back from Greg Evans right now, who again sits 4th and is the only car that is dividing our chase drivers up from running in a sequential order right now. But the 15 machine, knowing that the 11 is his teammate, I'm sure he would like to get a position on that number 94 car, help out Jonathan a little bit, but the 11 machine's got to pick it up here if he wants to get back to Brundage. Slowly but surely, that 94 starting to pull away. Don't want to say he's really flying out, but Cadell, again, not too long ago, was only a couple car lengths back, and that time by the start finished on about half a second as that 15 gets through, no problem. 94 lets him go in an attempt to not give up a lot of time, and that allows that 11 machine to close the gap just a little bit.
Just a little bit, and it's going to be a game of little bits tonight. We still got a long way to go, though. Working lap number 36 of 120, and while we've been watching this battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Adam Benefield in the SimPit Ford Fusion has stretched it out to a 3.5-second lead over David Comstock, Greg Evans, Eric Brundage, Jonathan Cadell. The 4 chasers right now all running inside the top 10, but it's Brundage who leads the way in the championship. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more action from Homestead. We'll go side by side so you won't miss a thing here on LSRTV for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back to LSRTV from Homestead, Miami Speedway. It's the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, and we are under caution. You saw the first spin during side-by-side as Thomas George made a wild skid through the grass, headed into turn number 3, lost a ton of time. Well, unfortunately, is the reason that we are under caution here with 43 laps complete, and that Snap-on Chevrolet in trouble. We'll take a look at it here in just a moment, but Evan, we talked about mistakes. We talked about championship contention. That may have been the nail in Thomas's coffin right there. I don't know. He could come back from it. We've seen him come back from it, but he is now pinned a lap down. It's going to be a very tall order.
He's going to stay out here and get the wave around, but he went around twice. Again, first one did not trigger a caution. Did a really good job, actually, of keeping it out of the fence, and right before the caution was thrown, we heard a little bit of NSFW voice chatter, we'll say, over the radio on his end. He is not happy with the way that car's handling. We said loose, loose, loose. You saw it right there. It just went around on him. Caution flag would come out. Meanwhile, the leaders are down pit road. They're led by Adam Benefield. He'll be the first person back off with no challenge. Fight going to be for second. Brundys, I believe, is going to get that one.
Well, I mean, the dominant car so far has been the 85. He has led all 44 laps that we have completed, and Brennan Mercer's up here with us, kind of filling the seat of our driver analyst tonight. And Brennan, Thomas now, we've seen him have a couple of spins. He's rattled behind the wheel of that one car. How do you come back from that? How do you regroup? How do you sit here now and try to get yourself in a position where if you can catch another caution, get back on equal footing? How do you get yourself mentally back in a position where you can get ready to go and try to take it back towards this championship?
Well, I think you just gotta wait out, sit for another caution, and hopefully you can get the lucky dog here, and hopefully he can get back in the lead lap. I mean, he just needs a little bit of luck now. It doesn't look like it's too damaged, so I think he's gonna be okay.
Yeah, and actually we thought he was maybe going to stay out and take the wave around. In fact, he's just come down pit road. I would have to get 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on that number 1 Chevrolet. So George, though, going to be, I believe, the first car and only car 1 lap down. So he would be in position, if we get another caution, to get the lucky dog and cycle back onto the lead lap. Taking a look at how they've cycled back out off pit road, Evan, you were right. Behind Adam Benefield, Eric Brundys now going to restart on the front row for this one with a pair of teammates from Steelhead Racing in row number 2. Greg Evans, Dan Murray up to 4th. Jonathan Cadell, he was running, I believe, 4th before the pit stop, and he's gotten shuffled all the way back to 6th. Lost a couple positions on that exchange, but nice gain by the 55 crew on pit road. They made some impressive work on their pit stop, and now they're sitting in a position to potentially take it to Brundys.
Even some of the chasers here, that are no longer eligible for the championship, all still running up front. Guys like Simley, Stenzel, top 10 cars as they run right now. The lights have gone off at a pace car, so the restart going to be coming up at lap number 48. We are a third of the way through this one. And so far, it has been the 94 who has led the charge of the chaser so far. He'll be on the outside. Going to be curious to see if Greg Evans can pull what the number 20 of Comstock did on the initial start, and that is use that third starting position to his advantage to get clear of that car in second, which would then, in theory, line Dan Murray and Eric Brundys right back up in bumper-to-bumper position. So we'll have to see. We're grouping them up, and they're getting nice and tight as we go down into 3, getting set for this restart.
Yeah, oh my, are the words that come to my mind right here, and I'm sure we'll be saying a lot more of that later on in this race. The amazing thing about it is, though, we are not even halfway yet. When we get the American Ethanol green flag here in a minute, we are going to be just 47 laps complete of 120, so 73 still remaining, and Brundys hanging way back, trying to time it, and he spins the tires on the restart. Murray's going to get stuck behind that 94, and Brundys literally was in row number 2 when they took the green flag there. Benefield had a clear lane, and he was gone. Greg Evans to second, and that just bottlenecked the entire outside lane.
And a car that's stuck up high is the 55. Going backwards is Dan Murray, the 20 car, the 11, and now the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet. Trying to get through. Hemstreet is door-to-door right now with Murray through 3 and 4. 55 is going to get a little bit of a run off the corner. Don't think it'll be enough, though, to clear Corbin down on that bottom going into the corner. He really needs to get down in line because he has that 41 machine of Nathan Little right behind him, the 42 of Scott Stenzel. A lot of guys riding bumper-to-bumper. If the 55 can't get a line, and well, he's going to get the job done up on the high side. Nice move for Dan Murray. He'll hang on to P6.
Change for second. The 94 of Brundys just powered around the inside of the 15 of Greg Evans going into turn number 1 last time through, and Brundys is now taking up the runner-up position and brought his teammate David Comstock in the 20 with him. They have drop-kicked the Amsoil Chevrolet of Greg Evans back to P4. Cadell and Murray behind Evans in 5th and 6th, but Brundys all of a sudden, he's got a little bit ahead of steam, and that 94 car really has come to life on this last restart. He spun the tires, Evan, didn't get the run that he needed, but all of a sudden he's come to life, and if I didn't know any better, I would almost say that he's cutting into that lead that Adam Benefield built on the restart just a bit.
It's 6/10 at the start-finish line. Benefield going to get just a little bit on him, but the 94 hanging tough. Want to see what Brundys can do in comparison here to David Comstock, if he's going to be able to fly away with it here, or if we get another extended green flag run like we saw the last time around, who's going to have a better long-run car. Interesting how this sets everything up pit strategy-wise, because just about 70 laps to go. That would, in theory, make this a one-stop race. If it went green all the way, the long run would be a very key factor if that was the way that this was going to shake out.
Yeah, and Benefield really starting to show his muscle now. It extended it by almost a 10th and a half. It's up to about 9 car lengths, 8/10 of a second. Brennan, I'm going back to that restart for just a second, though, because I've seen some people kind of lay back just a little bit on these restarts over the course of the RSR season, but I don't think I've seen anybody try to pull what Eric Brundys did, and I personally was shocked by it. He was literally in row 2 on the outside lane when they took the green flag. I've never seen quite a move like that, and it almost was disastrous for the 55 of Dan Murray.
Yeah, it kind of pulled a little bit of a Joey Logano style restart there, and that's what I said earlier. I mean, it's the pressure. This is going to be something here with 70 laps to go in the championship, and that's the thing. It really, that's the pressure cooker right there. Just a small mistake like that. Fortunately, it didn't really cost him much. I mean, he's P2 right now, so we'll see how it kind of boils down, and maybe we might even get some green flag stops here. I'm not sure, but I think we'll see maybe a couple more mistakes from these guys.
Is it head games, Evan, that Brundys is trying to play right now? Is he trying to get in the heads of his 3 championship rivals right now? I mean, we've seen him play the strategy game. Is he playing the mental game now with 66 laps to go?
Well, the message he's sending right now is come and get me, because he's sitting in second. And I said when he made that pass earlier on in the race against Jonathan Cadell, I mean, you know, that spot really didn't matter 10 laps into the race, but it's about making a statement against the other drivers, you know, maybe being a little bit more aggressive on him there just to try to make a point. However, right now the 20 car closing back in on Brundys, that's not a chase driver, so that's irrelevant. If Brundys were to lose that spot, he would still have Greg Evans, teammate to Jonathan Cadell, in between him and then a number 11 car. But everything these guys are going to be doing, whether it's the way they make a pass, the way they ride in behind somebody, they're trying to send a message to those other guys out there, almost trying to intimidate each other and play a little bit of those head games as you were talking about.
I've got a message that I'd like to send to the 20th David Comstock. Hang on tight, my friend, because that car is loose off turn 4. About the last 3 laps, he had a massive bobble last time coming off turn 4 to the start-finish line, and he lost about 3 car lengths to his teammate Eric Brundys, who's really even going to put a little bit more of a gap on him this time. Brundys putting almost 5 car lengths total on the 20 of Comstock. Those two are teammates. Let's keep that in mind. But, man, I mean, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say wrecking loose, Evan, but Comstock, I mean, that car is all over the place.
The one machine showed us earlier that even if that thing's not really kicking sideways, as soon as it steps out on you and you can't catch it, and I was watching the onboard that Thomas George was having a few laps before he actually split it out for the first time there, and even coming off the corner, he was turning that wheel to the right to correct it a little bit, giving it a little bit more as the run started to progress, get a little bit more aggressive. And then, you know, just at one point, that back end steps out to the point where he turned that thing all the way to the right, and he actually had saved it, re-accelerated, and spun it out again. These things are just evil loose that you don't want to be messing around even just a little bit loose off the corner, because it's very easy to overstep that line between getting low sides right there. Another bobble by that 20 car at a corner number 4. Comstock hanging on for dear life. He's sliding back for the 94.
He is, and right now we've not really even said much about him because he's been just so good all night long. But here, in lieu of doing our usual Garry Mercer Trucking mid-race leaderboard, we're going to take this opportunity to go Garry Mercer through the field, coming up on halfway, and we're going to start with the number 85 tonight. That's Adam Benefiel, the race leader, the SimPit Ford Fusion, moving over to the Trifecta Racing Group here, and it's paid big dividends. He's been in contention the last couple of weeks, wasn't able to race at Texas, came back at Phoenix, had a very strong run, has been dominant tonight, leads by 1.6 seconds, and he's trying to stamp a victory in the year-end tally. He's been so good, so dominant. If he were in the chase, contending in this Final Four, he would be the leader theoretically. I think he was one of the dominant cars, and just trying to prove a point. Hey, don't forget about me going into next year. Benefiel, the leader, and back there in second, Evan, the guy we're all watching right now at halfway.
And that's the 94 of Eric Brundys, his Shell Pennzoil Ford, hoping that at least they don't expect that 94 team to have any sort of jack issues here tonight. But he's sitting right now second. I said that he's going to be my pick to get this thing done at the end of the night. And again, started in 4th position, was able to quickly knock off a spot from Cadell, and sits right now in 2nd spot. Not the fastest car on track. He's being chased down by Comstock. He's losing some time to Adam Benefiel, but he's the fastest out of our chase drivers, and the 94 car is doing what he needs to do, and he's doing what he's done all season long, and that is putting that 94 car where he needs to put it if he wants to walk away with this championship.
Behind him in 3rd is the number 20 Monster Energy Chevrolet. That is Brundys' teammate David Comstock, who came in at the start of this chase just to run for wins, get the feel for this RSR group, and not only did he decide he was going to run for wins, he actually won one in the 2nd round of the chase at Loudon, New Hampshire, stole one from the championship contenders, and with a car tonight here at Homestead that's been basically wrecking loose. We've documented it over the last 5 or so laps, just losing time to his teammate right now, trying to keep that car out of the safer barrier, but still in a podium position. And you know, something happens to that 85 machine, he's still in contention for a win tonight. David Comstock 3rd, and Evan back to 4th now, one of our championship contenders who is still looking to get his car a little bit better.
Yeah, and that's the Toyota Camry entry, the number 11 of Jonathan Cadell. Fourth fastest in the practice session. He sits P4 on the racetrack right now after starting on the outside of that front row. His machine has looked pretty solid, however, started to slide back, was actually really strong in the opening run. He sits right now P4, over 3 seconds back from the race leader right now. He's currently the second car running out of the championship drivers. He has to chase down Brundys by the time the night is done, who sits in second. He has a little bit of a gap over Dan Murray, who sits in fifth position, but the number 11 machine has been the staple of consistency so far, and who knows, make it his first checkered flag of the chase here tonight to seal the deal. That's what the 11 machine wants to get done.
And you mentioned the car in fifth place right behind him. That is the number 55 Amsoil Toyota of his teammate Dan Murray, who won at Martinsville to stamp his ticket to Homestead. And Murray has peaked when it's counted. He got that win at Martinsville. He was really good at Texas. Got caught up in a crash at Phoenix that damaged his car and took him out of contention for a win. But that 55 machine has capitalized on others' misfortunes and momentum coming his way at the exact right moment. Dan Murray right now in a top 5 that includes 3 championship contenders. And, you know, we called him a dark horse all season. He's still a dark horse, but if he gets a late race break, I wouldn't count him out to maybe steal this championship away. And talking about dark horses, the guy behind him in 6th, he's been a dark horse for a win on a couple of occasions this season.
Yeah, I want to relate this car that's sitting 6th right now to the driver of that 55, Dan Murray. Took him a little bit longer than we anticipated, Jacob, before Dan was able to get that checkered flag at Martinsville. Still waiting. How has this 69 not been in victory lane? It's Corbin Hemstree to ride 6th right now. He's done a good job of making his way methodically through the field. Qualified in 8th position. He sits 6th right now and is actually putting up a good fight for P5 here as he closes into the back of Dan Murray. This team is going to be a contender rolling forward if they run full-time in 2015. Corbin, much like I think I have to relate him to a Jonathan Cadell, a staple of consistency. Always a top 10 car at some point. He goes to the inside right now as he tries to pick up another spot. And actually we have a caution flag on the racetrack.
We have a caution, so we'll catch you up on some of our other top runners here in a little bit. Jimmy North, the 84 machine, having some trouble and calling the caution flag just after halfway. Actually 67 laps in the books, working lap 68. North, the Cumberland entry. Oh boy. I'll take a breath here before I say this, Evan, because this is going to be very interesting. This puts us right on the edge as far as fuel is concerned.
Yeah, Jimmy lost it, and the fuel anywhere from maybe 48 to 51 laps, dependent on how you're running this thing. Well, Adam Benefield right now, race leader that last time by, or actually right now, he's sitting on lap 68. So the next time around is going to be 52 laps to go. This is going to provide quite an interesting scenario. As everybody comes down pit road right now, Benefield is leading Brundys and them in, Jacob. If they pit now, if we get a caution later, that means they're going to be good on fuel, but at that point, do you stay out, or do you come in and just get more tires anyway? So a lot of this is going to be situational, but I think this point, you're going to see a lot of guys running that apron here as they exit the pits, trying to save fuel. Talking about that one machine of Thomas J. George, because he stays out, he'll get the wave around, and welcome back to the lead lap to Snap-on Chevy with a new life.
I was going to say, not just the wave around, he will actually be the recipient of the Full Throttle Lucky Dog under this caution, and he will pick up his lap back. So as we watch the leaders on pit road, the 85 of Benefield going to probably get 4 tires and fill it up with Sunoco fuel right here. But Brennan, you were talking about it. New life and Thomas George back on the lead lap. That's all you need. You just need one break to maybe get it done.
Yeah, and actually, I was kind of watching him work his way through the field. If he was on the lead lap, I think he would have made his way up to 10th. So, and that was starting from the back of the pack. So, I mean, he's fast. The spin didn't really throw him off too much. So, I think you'll see him work his way towards the front now if we get a full green flag run-in.
How about the pit stops, Evan? Jonathan Cadell, the model of, wow, 14.2. Brundy's 15 seconds, and Benefield a bit of a slow stop, north of 16 seconds, and almost lost the race lead there on that cycle to Brundy's, who came within just a skosh of beating him off pit road. That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, we were about 3-4 wide flying there out of the pits, and Benefield's going to be the first one off. If the line there with the scoring loop out of pit road was maybe 10 feet further away, it would have gone to Eric Brundy's. But that key important part of having that number one pit stall is what is going to allow out of Benefield to be the first one off pit road. We got a couple of guys out in front of them right now that are going to try to take a wave around when we get the one to go. That is the 66 of Brian Harvey and John Wilco's number 62 machine. Both of them are 2 laps down. Well, they were. Right now they sit 1 lap down, technically at the tail end of that -1 lap right there. So once we get the lights off of the pace car, they will cycle back, and we'll have a 17 car lead lap, which will now feature Thomas J. George back in 17th position. Jacob, it's pretty far ways away, and I'm sure you may want to see a couple of caution flags to be able to make some opportunities to get up through the field here, but it's not done yet for that number one machine. Anything can happen.
Anything can, and as we've said all season, probably will happen. And you talked about guys running on the apron. Adam Benefield was just doing it. Jonathan Cadell was just doing it through turns 3 and 4 as we come to get, I believe, the one to go signal, as we'll see the 66 and the 62 head around the pace car and the field start to double up, and that's going to provide a restart with 48 laps to go. I can do math every once in a while. 48 laps to settle it. Just barely over 70 miles left in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series season. What a thrilling one that it has been. And oh boy, is it go time yet, Evan? Do we hit the button and see guys getting a little crazy now, or do you wait just a little bit longer?
Well, we're just shy of 2/3 through, and we're working off of our second caution. So if you're a fan of statistics, we're going to have a caution with not too many laps to go. The fuel is so interesting in this scenario. It's really close as it sits. I'm very interested to see if we get a caution that'll split this next run in half, who pits and who doesn't. They're only dropping off about 4/10, so I mean, we'll see. This is going to be a fun one. Benefield's going to be up top. The 94 of Brundy's has a little bit of a gap. The 11 machine's going to be on his bumper, though. We'll see how it shakes out of 4.
Pace car hits pit road, and the American Ethanol green flag waves one more time as the 20 of David Comstock spun the tires on the restart. That's going to give Brundy's a little bit of room to play with, and it's going to see the 11 of Jonathan Cadell pinned on the high lane as Brundy's going to take the charge to Benefield through turn 2, and the battle is going to be for second in the championship between the two teammates. Jonathan Cadell, Dan Murray give the spot to Dan Murray. He moves up to 4th position in the 55 machine, dropped the 11 back to 5th, and those two, boy, there's no love lost there. They may be teammates, but they are two of the hardest fighters in this RSR series. And right now, Dan Murray, he knows it doesn't matter whether you're teammates at this point. Now, you're running for a championship.
2-3 wide back around P13, which is where we find the desperate charge being worrying the makers here. And contact right in front of him. Scott Stenzel and Corbin Hemstreet get together. This all going on right in front of Thomas George, who continues to try to get through the field. He passes Simley. He'll pass Bratcher. That's good enough for 11th position. He's got a couple more guys up in front of him, but still a long way to go if he wants to get back up with his fellow championship counterparts right now. But Thomas J. George not wasted any time trying to get through the field. We take a look on board at him as he sees a side-by-side battle just going on right in front of him. He'll go to the inside of Hemstreet as he's trying to follow Stenzel through the field.
He is trying to follow Scott Stenzel through the field, and he has picked up 6 positions in less than 3 laps, Evan, and he passes his way back into the top 10 right now, does the Snap-on Chevrolet. It's quite the run he's got going. He's passed 2 cars a lap and almost gets chopped off coming off turn 4 by the 42 of Stenzel, and Stenzel going to take a look to the inside of the 36. That's Rich Jett, who has clawed his way solidly into 8th place, but about to lose that as George gets loose on the apron again, and we got 1 car around behind him. I think it's Bratcher.
25 is around, back end gonna touch the inside wall. Can he keep it pointed the right direction? He will, but Mark Bradger gonna lose a lot of time here. He gets back rolling, and same old song and dance for that one car, trying to give it a little bit more. He was able to hang on to it, and what a great recovery actually on that one's part, but you just can't give it that little bit much more on the bottom lane. You're running so far on the edge that he just about cost himself another shot at it. You gotta stay disciplined as much as you really want to drive like a bat out of hell. Get it back through this field. The one car's gotta pace himself. He's gotta look at the lap counter. He's gonna have to plan this out for these next 40 laps.
Yeah, he is, because you cannot afford another mistake like that. I think right now, honestly, that was strike 2 for that one machine, and you don't get a third one, Evan. If something happens now, it's going to be all she wrote for that Snap-on Chevrolet team of Thomas George. It's going to be tight. I mean, we know he's got the heart to go out and take it to these front 3, but right now I just don't know that he's got the car to do it. He's trying to will that car to do almost superhuman things at this point, and there's a line, Evan, that we see on this service, and as race car drivers, as you guys do, there's a line that when you try to cross it, it just does not work after a while, as we see George trying to make a move on Rich Jett, and I feel like he's playing precariously close to that line.
Yeah, these things are loose enough as it is. When you go down to the bottom, you're riding a car that just wants to spin out on you. Meanwhile, update here, we got a change for P4. Dan Murray was kind of forced into a mistake. The 11 looked to the inside, 55 overdrove the corner, give Jonathan Cadell P4, and the 41 on Nathan Little going to take another spot. So Dan Murray was actually just going to give him some props there for getting up in front of the 11 car. Going to lose 2 spots, now possibly 3 as the 15 battles back on the inside. You see, even those guys are sideways. When you're on the bottom, you're going to have to give it more wheel if you want to stay down there. You just can't do it. And it's frustrating. It is. The number 1 car, Thomas George, he's mad that he spun it out. He's mad at himself. He was flying through the field there, Jacob, on those first 2-3 laps off at restart. But you can't keep pushing a car like that forever. And, you know, and he said it multiple times over the radio, it's just so loose, that number 1 car, that he can't do with it what he wants, and it's frustrating as a driver to be restricted, as you feel, restricted at the limitations of your race car.
Yeah, and I think somebody who may have just hit the limitations of his race car, perhaps, is the 85 of Adam Benefiel, who leads this race. And we've been watching this gap, and it actually shrunk just a tad last time by. Of course, as soon as I say that, he extends it by about a 10th here, but you know, I don't know that that car is perfect for Benefiel. It's certainly better than most everybody else, but Eric Brundy's, I know he wants to win a championship, but I'd imagine he'd love to win this race as well and cap the season by taking all the glory away from the rest of this field, and he's doing everything he can in that 94 machine to get there. I don't know if he's got enough car underneath him. Maybe if we get a late race caution, we'll have a shot at it, but he's at least not losing as much time as he did the last run to that 85. He's been able to be a little bit more consistent and keep that gap right now to within 0.8 of a second.
Benefiel is playing the Jeff Gordon role here, where he's not eligible for the championship, but is trying to make a statement. Meanwhile, we had trouble. Greg Evans into the inside wall, coming off a quarter number 4. The 15 car spun out from P6, backed it into the wall. He was able to actually do quite an interesting job at keeping that thing back going. He's trying to get back up to speed now in 3 and 4 with relatively minor damage, but that's going to drop Greg Evans all the way back, which means it's going to give one more spot to guys like Thomas George, one more spot to guys like Dan Murray, who were just overtaken by him.
Yeah, and I'm watching the charge by this one machine. If we get a caution, I'm not convinced I don't think he's got what Eric Brundy's has, but I think that one could maybe get up to challenge for second in this championship. Thomas has done a fantastic job, and he's still got something to prove. He wants to prove that he's got the speed, and he's been trying to work over Scott Stenzel in the battle for what's now 8th position. Not able to do it right now, but he's within about a car length, and I'm not surprised. He's shown an incredible amount of heart all season long, he and that one team. So I give him props. He's back up to 9th as the 15 of Greg Evans is headed down pit road. I would imagine I would be too. After that excursion, probably put 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on it, and Evan, I don't know about you, but I'd be looking for a dry cleaner.
Yeah, he's going to get some tires on this thing, get back going, and does have a little bit of damage from that as well, so it will be curious to see if he stays in and elects to get any of that fixed. It looks like he is getting some of that right side damage repaired. Don't anticipate that that would have been a required pit for repairs, but coming down to get some of that fixed nonetheless. One car that's going to be bringing it down is Mark Bratcher. He's been in the pits for a while, and he's letting everybody know that his season is done. He's going to be bringing it behind the wall, so that number 25 car is going to be done for the night.
And that's a tough break for Bratcher. I mean, he's had his ups and downs this season, but wanted to end it on a high note. Doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight as he takes it to the garage area. Meanwhile, somebody who's not taking it anywhere near the garage area is the one. He continues his charge. Thomas George got around Scott Stenzel last time by for the 8th position and continues to try and march his way back towards the remainder of his championship comrades as we continue to look where they run right now with 32 laps to go. Eric Brundies rides 2nd. Jonathan Cadell is 4th. Dan Murray is 6th. And Thomas George is currently 8th. Evan, I guess they like even numbers just a little bit.
Yeah, that satisfies my OCD for sure. You got to give props to the number 1 car. He's done a good job getting through the traffic. The only problem for him now is he's over 5 seconds back from the top spot. Now he is running lap times that are on par, if not better, than with Dan Murray, than with Jonathan Cadell. They have the track position. With that spread being like that, if we get a caution here, this is going to be really exciting to see. But I mean, without that, I don't think that one machine is going to have any shot at this. He is fighting back. It looks like he's slowly but surely catching up to the number 69 of Corbin Hemstreet. That would be for P7 as they run right now. So the number 1 car's fast. He's kind of calmed himself down a little bit, but he's still driving it harder and harder. And, you know, once you start to close in on that guy in front of you, don't catch yourself giving it a little bit too much or you'll find yourself going around again real quick. So it's very hard, though, coming down now at 30 to go to stay disciplined, knowing that you're 8th place, and right now the money spot is P2. But, you know, you just got to fight through it and hope maybe the cards fall in your favor.
I want to give some props to the number 41 Haas Automation Chevrolet right now. Oh,
Caution.
Never mind. We'll get back to that. Caution is on the racetrack with 30 laps to go, Evan. And I'll say it. Yeah, wow. This changes everything. This changes everything.
It was a bobble by that 68 of Simley. He went around, he hooked the 36 of Rich Jet. The caution flag is out, and, well, we can throw everything that we were just discussing out the window. This race is no longer a 120-lap race. This is going to be a 25-lap race. Forget the first 31 races. Forget the last, 90 whatever laps. This is going to be a 25-lap race for the championship. And this pit stop could make or break it right here. We're bringing them down. This is going to eliminate the fuel portion. Does anybody dare do anything with the tires?
No. We saw it all weekend long, Evan. 2 tires gets you nothing except a pat on the back and a trip all the way to the tail end of the line. It's 4 tires all the way if you want to have any shot to win the race or win the championship. And keep an eye on the 94 on this pit stop. He was lightning quick on the last one, and I have a feeling they're going to be coming guns blazing as Eric Brundies pulls into his pit stall. Right side, so that Shell Pennzoil Ford Fusion going up, and the crew quickly going to work as they fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Around to the left sides, they jack it up, and it looks like another very quick pit stop. He is gone. David Comstock is gone. Benefiel, I don't know. It was too close to call.
Great stop by the 20. Benefiel's going to get that only because of where that line is. That number 1 pit stall is really helping out Adam Benefiel right now. This is going to slide Brundies back to 3rd. He's going to have Nathan Little beside him, but once again, well, he's going to lose a spot. Cadell's going to lose a spot. They'll still be bumper to bumper for P3 and then P5 respectively amongst the 94 and the 11 machines.
15.9 on Adam Benefiel, 14.9 on Benefiel, 14.1 for David Comstock, and I tell you, Evan, Benefield's trying hard to give this race lead away on pit road. I mean, you talk about mistakes from the chasers. You can't have that. Not this late in the going.
That number 1 machine is also going to lose a spot. George will slide back to 9th position as they sit right now. Actually, Rich Jet, who has scored 7th at the stripe, just now coming down for service. So that's going to bump everybody back up. So scratch that. That number 1 machine's going to be right back where he was in the number 8 position. How about Nathan Little? Don't count him out for spoiler quite yet. Came so close at Phoenix to getting the job done and was just on the wrong side of that cutoff. He could also be trying to prove a point like Adam Benefield and make a statement tonight.
All right, Brennan, it's going to come down to 25-26 laps, and I started thinking about it here and watching exactly how Eric came off pit road, and not to overanalyze this, but I'm curious your thoughts. And did he potentially give up that 2nd position to his teammate to make sure he was on the bottom for this restart?
I'm not sure, because I think he started P2 the last 2 restarts, and it kind of worked out for him well. So I'm totally not sure. I don't think so. Here, the outside, well, so I don't know. It's a tough call. I can't see him doing that. I think it's just more pressure than anything. I said, like, I'm nervous watching, and it's 25 laps to go, so I can't understand how these guys are feeling.
Evan, what about you? I mean, you've driven on the service long enough. Do you want the inside or the outside for this restart?
Well, we've seen the inside work and we've seen the outside work. So unless you're Adam Benefield and you're the leader and you get to choose, I say 3rd place is the only spot that you really want to, maybe fabricate where you need to go, because typically that person's going to get a better start because they're behind the control car. If you're the 41 car and 4th and whatnot, I think everybody's going to spread out to a point that you'll find the spot in line. But, I mean, if you're intentionally trying to get the 3rd, then I think you're up on your toes if you're trying to make that move. I think that is better than starting 2nd. It all depends on how aggressive Comstock gets here on trying to anticipate the start, much like we saw Brundys try to do earlier, and it did not work out for him at all.
Oh, by the way, Brundys has help in droves now. The 20 of David Comstock, a teammate on the Stroke Races team. The 41 of Nathan Little, a teammate. The 94, he's trying to win a championship. Green flag in the air. Oh, Benefield kind of washes up the racetrack. Brundys is side by side with Comstock. That inside lane didn't quite work out. The 20 is going to get the advantage down to turn 1 for an instant. Now here comes Brundys in that Shell Pennzoil Ford to the inside. He's got aspirations of going for the lead. He was trying to take a look on Benefield.
Don't look now, but right behind the 94, the 11, the 55, and the 1, all now riding in a row in those positions. 20 car going to slide a little bit high. That's Comstock. He'll hang on to it. What a move by David Comstock. Got everything out of that they could. Look at this. The 94 goes low. The 11 almost all the way to the apron. Still shutting the door is Brundys. That's the battle for the championship right there.
It is the battle for the championship lined up bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper as Benefield tries to run away with it up front. 3, 4, 5, 6, they're your championship contenders, and now Comstock's not letting the leader get away either. Brundys trying to close on 2nd as Cadell trying to do anything he can as here comes Thomas George to the inside. He's not out of it, going for 5th.
If this 1 car can get this job done, are you kidding me? The Snap-on Chevy going to get the spot from Dan Murray that advances him back up the P5 after he spun that thing around twice tonight. He's lost laps, Jacob. He is only about 0.5 of a second away from the spot that he needs, which is occupied right now by Brundys. The top 2, the fastest guys all night long that are not eligible for the championship, Benefield and Comstock. Comstock sideways off the corner. Do not overcorrect that in the traffic. A great job as he's able to hang on. That's going to bump everybody else up 1 spot. Thankfully, that 20 car did not turn that thing right back up into the 94.
That was heads-up driving right there, and it may have spared us the ability to watch this battle for the title. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. They are the championship contenders behind race leader Adam Benefield, and arguably Brennan, I'll turn to you on this one. 22 laps to go. The top 5 right now, these are the 5 guys that we have watched all season long in this series as far as the ones who have been competing up front, and I'll even go so far as to include Nathan Little, the 41 and 6th. The cream truly has risen to the top tonight.
Oh, this is exciting. I can't even, I don't have words for this. I'm on the edge of my seat here right now.
Can Brundys win it, Evan? I mean, we know he's had a good car. Can he win it? Is there any scenario we see him chasing down the 85 right here?
I think that if he can't direct his attention to the 85 because he needs to worry about where the 11 is. And I know you say you don't want to, mirror drive. You don't want to look at the back. There's no way there's no way you can't be keeping an eye right now on where that 11 machine is. Cadell's closing. If Brundys gets up to Benefield and he's really closing in on him, all right, then it's a fair thing to say that you got to try to figure something out. But you cannot focus your attention on that guy in front of you when the car that matters is the one behind you. Quick update, Brian Harvey, slow. He is on the access road coming out of the corner. We had a lot of stuff going down in corners number 1 and 2. Everybody's able to keep them off each other for now.
Oh, by the way, last time by, Eric Brundys was the quickest car on the racetrack. You don't think when it's go time, that machine isn't going to try to find some way? One car in the wall, Evan. We got trouble.
M Street caught the wall there coming off the corner. It was a bobble. He's able to hang on to it. Right side damage and all. He'll get back going. He slides back to where the 15 of Greg Evans once was. The 68 car going to put a move on him, so he'll slide back to a battle for 13th position. We got a battle going on there. We got cars bouncing off each other. The 15 of Greg Evans, that's a lap car, hitting the 84 to Jimmy North, but none of that matters unless they bring out a yellow. The guys we got to look at, it's a 0.3 of a second gap for the trophy.
And it's just barely more than that for the race lead, and Eric Brundys is starting to cut into it. He has found some of the afterburners on that Shell Pennzoil Ford. It was 0.4 last time by. It remains 0.4 this time by. He cut into it the last 2 laps, loses a little bit there, but oh my. And I'm starting to look at this championship battle. Could we have scripted this? I mean, all 4 championship contenders, nose to tail behind the race leaders. And look at Cadell. He is closing on Brundys now. This is going to be a battle yet.
He picked up a 10th the last time. I think he gave up some that time through 3 and 4, but do we really expect those chase guys to be running, nose to tail, all 4 of them on Sunday? We say we go out here and you got 20-something other cars in tonight's race, and somehow, some way, they all managed to be right on top of each other. The 94, you can see the sense of urgency has picked up from the Brundys camp. That 11 is giving it everything he's got. We got to watch these guys. They're starting to push it. Don't want to overdrive that thing as we get down. 16 laps will remain this next time by the stripe. Adam Benefield, meanwhile, still holding about half a second to the good on Brundys and company. It's 0.4 between the 94 and the 11.
Benefield's best friend is his teammate right now, because the more pressure Cadell puts on Brundys, the further away that 85 can get. Brennan, if you're Jonathan Cadell right now, are you trying to force the 94 into a mistake?
I think honestly, I think the nerves are just going to let them do what they can do. I really don't know. I'm kind of out of breath here. Just even watching these guys, it's pretty exciting.
15 laps to go. 15 to go, and Thomas George just laid down a really quick lap last time by. He was able to shave a little bit into the gap that he's got to the 11 and the 94. He may not yet be out of it as down the back straightaway. We are just 21 miles away from the checkered flag and a champion being crowned. Brundys holds it right now, but he's still got 1 car to worry about in his rearview mirror. Jonathan Cadell, Evan, the guy who I considered the true underdog in this championship. He's not won a race in the chase. He won 1 race all season long to get into it. Now he sits here on the cusp of maybe beating the season's king to do it.
I'm half expecting one of these guys to knock down the wall coming off the corner like they lose a right front, because they got to be so nervous right now. You literally have worked over 36 weeks or so to get to this point, and it's going to come down to this next 10 minutes to to determine who's going to get it when it's all said and done. Thomas George still in the mix. He's sliding back now. He's about 3/10 slower than Cadell and Brundys these last few laps. He's not out of it if there's a caution flag yet. Again, we have to remember that if there's 4 to go or less, caution will end this race. Brundys just wants to at least make it to that point. Right now, it looks like it is the 85's race to lose, but don't count Cadell out. They're going to start playing some games, and they're giving it all they got here. The 11's kicking that thing out sideways. He's not lifting anymore.
No, he's not. Neither is Brundys, and he's trying to close the gap a little bit. It's not worked out just yet, but we've just got 12 laps to go. At this point, I think you got what you got. If one of these guys makes a mistake, that could determine the race in the championship. Brundys was loose down the back straightaway, and that's allowed Cadell to close in again.
He's got to put the pressure on him. He's there, but he's not at the same time. And the 94 keeps looking back. That 11 machine is coming. He's got it down to about 4 car lengths at the start-finish line. Just about 2.5 of a second separate them. If that 11 machine can get there, even if he doesn't have the spot, he's going to start flashing that nose. He needs to force some sort of a mistake out of the number 94 car. He's applying the pressure right now, doing everything he can, but right now that 94 I think is stronger if he can keep his head screwed on tight there. Brundys needs to just keep focusing in front of him, but that 11 machine's not giving up. Jonathan Cadell still well in this one.
10 laps to go. 15 miles to determine a title. Benefield, now 0.6 of a second. He is trying to get away, claim the season-ending checkered flag. All eyes, though, are on Eric Brundys and Jonathan Cadell. That's the race for the title. That is the race that pays all the marbles right now, and we're just about 9.5 laps away from giving out the big check, the big trophy for one of these two. Could we see a last gasp effort like we saw from Newman at Phoenix to advance to the championship? I mean, Evan, it's for a title. I would drive it as hard as I could into turn 3 to try and win it.
You better hope it's on the white flag, though, because you're going to, again, race control EOL's people, deeming them the cause of the caution. So that would be interesting, depending on how aggressive do you get in that scenario. That 11 machine is driving it into the corner so hard right now and still managing to get a good exit. He continues to close Jacob this time by. Gonna get an update on the intervals there. 0.2 of a second, and he's still starting to sneak in there. About 2.5 car lengths when they went down into the 1. Not sure how much time he's gonna have left to fight for it though out of 2. Still digging hard.
7 laps to go. When they get back to the line, Thomas George, Dan Murray, they're fighting for 3rd in the championship, and they're fighting for pride, back 3 seconds behind the race lead, 2.2 behind the battle that matters. Brundys holds it as we've got 7 laps to go, 10 miles to the end of the season, and it is still 2 car lengths back to 1.
We're still finding it out also for 3rd in the championship, 4th on track, where you have Thomas George and Dan Murray going at it. Those guys only separated by about half a car length down the back straightaway. The 55 has flashed the nose a couple times, and every time Thomas has been able to shut the door. So as we keep an eye on the 94 and the 11, as it looked like Brundys is starting to pull away with this one now. The 11 starting to get too greedy with it. They're also going at it for what would be 3rd in the final standings. That time by at 6 to go.
0.4 of a second now, the gap between Brundys and Cadell, and Jonathan washed it way up the racetrack in turn 3 last time by. He charged it in so hard that it washed up and he lost so much momentum down the straightaway. And the problem with that now is, Evan, is you're coming to 5 to go. When you lose that gap, you've got to make it all up again.
And he's used these last 20 laps or so to close in that little bit that he's been able to. He looks faster. He's using a little bit of a draft that he can get at 5 laps to go. But the question is, he doesn't have 30 laps to, continue to make up the time at the rate that he is doing. So he needs to get something big. And when you're this close, you're gonna overdrive it. You can't. You gotta stay disciplined, and it's hard. That 11 machine may just drive this one into the fence trying to get it. He's closing back in though, Jacob, back to about 3 car lengths.
4 to go when they get back to the line. 6 miles. This is the battle for the championship. Adam Benefiel, 1.2 seconds in front. He leads the race, and he'll try to claim one more trophy. It's about 2.5 car lengths between these two as we work lap 117 through turns 1 and 2. Bell trying to close. Grundy's washed up a little bit off turn 2.
I can't imagine having to be in this situation right now for that number 11 strutmasters.com machine. I mean, he's giving it everything that he's got. He's starting to back up the corner a little bit more.
Again.
He's trying to get a little bit of a run. He looks like he's better on exit. Just a bit. The 94 is really getting the better end of him, though, from center off. Just a little bit. That 94 car equally as pressure is on that 11 as the 94, though, Jacob. That time by, only 3 laps to go in this one. Caution would end it at any moment. So the 11 machine, he's got to make something happen quick if he wants a shot at this thing.
I don't see any situation right now. I don't know that anybody besides George and Murray are close enough to each other on the racetrack that we would see a caution, barring a mistake. So it's down to these two. 2 laps to go. Double popsicle sticks in the air. 3 miles away from the championship. Brundys leads it. Cadell is there. They head back to turn 2.
An ultimate time going through the corner. The 11 is digging. He's got it sideways. He's slowly making up time. Is it going to be enough? Down the back straightaway. Second to last time. The 11 of Jonathan Cadell. He is trying to chase down the 94 of Eric Brundys. The RSR Full Throttle Cup Championship hangs in the balance. Meanwhile, race leader Adam Benefiel, white flag in the air for him. It's going to be 4 car lengths between the championship at 1.5 miles to decide it.
This is it. Final lap of the Full Throttle Cup Series season. And it's been fun to be up here in the booth all season long. Watch Eric Brundys, Jonathan Cadell, and this whole field battle down the back straightaway. Cadell going to have one final shot at it into turn 3. He pitches it to the bottom of the racetrack. Brundys goes low to block, and that's going to be the move that wins a championship. Off turn 4, Adam Benefiel takes the checkered flag to win the race, and the 94, Eric Brundys, wins the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Championship. Brundys finishing second by a second and a half in the final count for the race. Jonathan Cadell third after that bonsai move that I thought we might see, and he just couldn't hold it down there. He finishes second in the championship, third in the race. Thomas George fourth, Dan Murray fifth. All 4 of the chasers nose to tail at the checkered flag. 94, 11, 1, 55. That's how they finish in the standings. David Comstock, Nathan Little, Steve Gottschalk, Kevin Linden, Jimmy North, the rest of the top 10. And now the 85 of Benefiel, the 94 of Brundys. Dueling burnouts, they get to burn it down, and Brundys is champion for 2014.
Meanwhile, Benefiel's burning it down too. He won the race. Another, we said he'd make a statement. Coming into this one of the strongest cars all season. I think you can, say that him and it was Brundys that were the top 2 all year long. And they're going to finish 1-2 in the final race. Benefiel with the checkered flag. Brundys with the one that is going to mean the most there. And for once, I was able to make a pick and didn't jinx him. So Eric Brundys got the job done. And, the 11 machine did what he had to do. He went to the inside, and I said he was just about going to knock the fence down trying to do it. He nearly did, gave it everything he had. And, just all the props and respect to that 94 and the 11 guys for keeping going at it that hard for that amount of time there at the end and being able to put on a show like that and duke it out cleanly.
And all the championship drivers in the top 5, Adam Benefiel, the winner. We are going to hear from all of them after this during the Garry Mercer Trucking post-race show. Congrats to Adam Benefiel, though. First, he wins the race. Brundys wins the title. We'll hear from them all when we come back here on LSRTV from Homestead.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV. It's the Garry Mercer Trucking Post-Race Show from Homestead, Miami Speedway. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko down here on the front straightaway, getting ready. You'll hear from all of the top five, including all four of our championship contenders coming up. And right now, it may not be the champions stage, but I stand here and get to stand by the guy who pretty much dominated this race, and I have to check the official numbers here in a second, Adam Benefiel, but I believe you led every one of the 120 laps tonight. Just an absolutely incredible drive by you and the 85 Simpit Ford team. You may not have been in the championship, but you showed you deserved to be a part of the Final Four, and you went out and made a statement tonight here at Homestead. Talk about that drive.
That was, let me tell you, that was a Cadillac. Man, all the guys over at Trifecta, they've just, we ran over 1,200 miles this week in NIS. Ran all 3 nights and testing all week, you know, so yeah, it got to where I could run with my eyes closed, and yeah, I owe it all to them with the advice and you know, pushing me to the next level and all that. And man, matter of fact, 120 laps led. I mean, that's got to say something right there going into next year.
It says that you guys are going to be back on the trail for a title, I think is what it says, Adam. I mean, you never had any challenges tonight, really, and going through this whole race, I mean, it was, like I said, it was a statement victory. You moved over to Trifecta, that group, a couple of weeks ago. how much of a difference has that made for you as a driver and with the people that you've got behind you here in these final races of the season? You were so competitive at Phoenix, and to get the win tonight like you did, I mean, just an incredible drive, and I have to imagine they've helped you build some tremendous momentum.
Oh yes, I mean 110%. Those guys, they're top notch. Just professionally ran team. Joe Putty puts his heart and soul into that team, and just the guys that we're on every single night, turning laps somewhere, working on something, and when we think we're good, we're going to push even more to make sure we're the best. And they've they've taken me in, and I've ran so many laps here this week. It's not even funny. But Ryan Luza, Tyler Hudson, Dylan Duvall, all those guys. There's more guys over there. They they're tremendous, man. This win goes to them. They've taken me to a whole nother level, and I can't thank them enough.
I think we've seen it tonight. I think I've seen you grow so much as a race car driver and a sim driver just in the last 2 weeks here, these last two races, Adam. And I know it's thanks to a lot of those people you named. It's thanks to a lot of sponsors, supporters, and all of that. So one more time here in Victory Lane, my friend, who makes it happen for you in the 85 team? Give the shout outs to close this season.
Roll Speed Dynamics, they've been with me since day one. My wife for letting me come back here and do this. All the guys at Trifecta, Black Hole Motorsports, my buddies here that's had my back, they did a great job. I hate they couldn't come back with a title, but Jonathan Cadell and Dan Murray and Greg Evans, super proud of those guys. But and y'all done a great job all year long broadcasting this series. Hopefully y'all are back next year. I hope so. And RSR for putting this on. This is one of the best series around.
Adam Benefiel, one more time in 2014, a race winner. Congratulations, my friend. You did it here to cap an incredible season. We'll see you 2015.
Thank you.
That's the race winner, Evan Pasoko. While Adam ultimately did not get the big trophy, you are down on pit road with somebody who almost got the big trophy and finished third, missed it by one spot. That is the number 11 Toyota crew, Jonathan Cadell.
And so close is the key word. In the end, it's going to be officially classified as a 0.7 of a second differential, but it was the last lap attempt to try to get it by Jonathan Cadell. Did everything he could, and we've caught up down him on pit road. And Jonathan, it's going to be a P3 on track tonight, second in the championship standings. Eric Brundys gets it by having only one position on you on the racetrack. How did you keep your focus, or what little focus, I guess, you were able to? The nerves. We were nervous for you guys going at it there, that final 30-lap stint. How were you able to fight through that and give it the best effort you could?
I didn't have the nerves. I am still shaking right now. If y'all had half as much anxiety as I did in here, man, I don't know. That's just crazy that it came down to the last lap, just like yesterday, and you couldn't ask for a better, finish to the championship there. Eric is, he deserves that championship. He won the most races this year. He'd have had the championship locked up 4 races ago if we'd have been on old point style. So it sucks finishing second, but having Eric win this championship was, best guy out there.
Fighting through to get yourself into this chase and then advancing through the rounds and being able to put up a P3 fight tonight, maybe as one of the overlooked drivers, despite how strong you were all season long. What kind of a statement is that for you and the team to be able to put up such a strong run and be able to get second spot when it's all said and done?
I got to give all my thanks to Adam Benefiel and Dan Murray. All year they have been helping me out, telling me what lines to run, what strategies to do, and I don't have as much time as I would like during the week to test, so they usually give me their notes, and they help me out all the time. And last year I didn't even think I'd be here full time, and I managed to work it out, and with my job and my wife and everything, and every Monday from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock I was going to do it. And knocked out a couple wins and got in the chase. And biggest person I need to thank is Adam Benefiel. He had a 1-lap penalty at the start of Kansas, got caught up in a wreck, took him out of the eliminator round. So if he would have gotten into that, he'd have won this championship hands down with all those dang wins at the end.
2015 plans for you and the 11 team?
Well, I'm in the Navy, and the ship that I'm on is going into a shift work rotation. So 2 out of 4 weeks, it's going to be iffy as if I can make it on Monday nights. I'm going to try to work it out again with them this year like I did, or next year like I did this year. Hopefully I'll be back. If not, I'll be here with my Steelhorse guys whenever I can, and we'll see if we can get locked in the chase.
It was a spirited fight, and I know you've listed the majority of the people. I'm sure there's a lot more for the final time this year. Everybody who made this run possible for you and that number 11 crew.
Like I said, everybody at Steelhorse Racing, Jason Swan, Cody Gibson, my teammate who couldn't be here tonight, Greg Evans, Dan Murray, Adam Benefiel, a sponsor, Shopmasters.com. Send a shout out to Scott Beatles. It's his 30th birthday today. And, thank my wife for giving me Monday nights to do what I want. And, thank you guys for the broadcast. Just thank everybody at RSR for welcoming me back after last year. And, man, just what a season.
Well, you gave it heart there at the end, and you're able to claw your way and fight for what's going to be a second place in the overall 2014 points. So thanks for taking a moment to talk with us, Jonathan. Congratulations once again, and we'll keep an eye on you and that 11 team rolling forward here in years to come.
Thanks, Evan.
Jacob, that's it down here from pit road. It is third on track, but it is second in the points. Came just short of it, but he showed a lot of desire tonight. Jonathan Cadell is second in the overall points for 2014.
Yes, and I want to add to that. He mentioned it, Evan, about being in the Navy. I want to thank Jonathan for his service to our country. Definitely appreciate all those who, like him, go into making it happen for us. But I've actually moved my way down pit road here now to talk with the guy who comes up fourth in the championship but had a spirited drive at Martinsville to punch his ticket to Homestead, the AMSOIL number 55 Toyota. That's Dan Murray. And Dan, a top 5 result tonight. Unfortunately, not the result you needed in the championship, but still, to have all 3 of those guys right in front of you so close, what a drive by all of you. What a run for you tonight. What was the difference?
I just had some bad restarts behind people spinning their tires, and it cost me a few spots, and I'd have to try to make it up on the racetrack, and then I made a couple of slip-ups during that last run, and they just got away. They were really, really on it tonight like they should have been, and I felt like I was right there, but I just had a couple of bad breaks and ended up fourth, but I'm happy to do that with the group of guys that were in this Final Four.
It was the win at Martinsville that got you here to Homestead with a shot to win this championship. That was your first win all year, and I think it really showed how much you and the whole AMSOIL crew, Steelhead Racing, you guys just peaked at the right time in the closing stages of this season. What was it? Was there anything in particular that you can attribute to the run you guys made at this?
No, this is a great hobby to have, and you have a lot of fun doing it, and if you're not having fun doing it, you probably shouldn't be doing it. So this year was probably the most fun I've had doing this. And it makes it easy when you got the group of guys that I have on my team, and makes it enjoyable.
And I think we've seen you have so much fun and enjoy what you're doing the last couple of weeks, Dan. 5th place result gives you some momentum for 2015. Are we going to see you back next year?
Yeah, I should be back full time next year, and hopefully it won't take 30 races for me to get a win.
I definitely understand that, Dan. One more time before we cut you loose for the season. Sponsors, shout-outs, who makes it happen for you and the 55 team?
I'd just like to thank everybody at Steelhorse. Like I said, I've had a blast racing for them all year and looking forward to next year. And Adam Blotto, he's a dealer for AMSOIL. They came on board late in the year and really helped us out. Greg Evans at I Can't Designs. my wife and son for letting me do this all year, and I appreciate everything that RSR does for us and everything that you guys do at LSRTV. So I appreciate everything.
Dan Murray, 5th place finish tonight. 4th place result in the championship. We'll see him back for 2015. And Evan, the guy that finished just ahead of him after being almost 2 laps down, is down with you, comes up 3rd in the championship, 2 wins on the season. But Thomas George, that Snap-on Chevrolet, a heroic drive tonight to even be in contention.
Yeah, at halfway, he was about a lap down and outside of 15th position. He fought his way through the field. He's going to be the highest finishing Chevrolet tonight, P4 on track and 3rd in the final championship standings for Thomas George. We're down here on pit road with him right now. And Thomas, did you expect to be able to get back up to where you did after those troubles earlier in the race? I know you were fighting a wicked loose race car. How did the night progress for you? And, in your head as well, emotionally, coming into this and obviously feeling that you have a legitimate shot at taking home this championship. You had some issues there at quarter number 2 times and got stuck laps down, didn't give up, and you were able to get up back inside a top 5 finishing position.
I don't know. I don't I don't know how I came back from all that, honestly. The car was so tight in the center, then when you try to get back on the throttle, you were turning the car so much that it just wanted to snap loose on you. I mean, short runs I was good, and then as the run went along, it felt like it was the back tires were just getting worse and worse, and I knew when I spun it the second time, went a lap down, I just knew, okay, well, get back on the lead lap, we'll try to get back up there as best we could, but throughout the entire race, I was trying my damnedest to get up there, and I couldn't put the main thing was I just could not put my foot back in the throttle. It was a valiant comeback, I'm not going to deny that. Was a great run to get up there in the end, and when I saw Goodell dive it in 3, I'm thinking, okay, if he hits Brundy's, he might take himself out and might steal this championship. But it's one of those deals. It's like I said in the last week, Homestead is not one of my best tracks. It's something that's just it's a very weird track, and the grip was always in the middle, and I prefer to run the high line. But if I tried that, I wasn't going to get any runs, so I just had to fight through and hope caution came out late, take a gamble, and try something different.
It was a solid 2014 campaign, to say the least. We were able to advance through from the challenger through the contender, the eliminator, and all the way here to the championship finale in Homestead Miami Speedway. It is a very unique 1.5-mile speedway. It is 3rd in the overall championship standings when it's all said and done. You take a look back at the past 32 races, including tonight. Do you think 3rd is where this team belongs? I know you guys showed a lot of heart throughout the year.
Well, I think it's where it belongs. Of course, you want to win a championship. You don't settle for 2nd or 3rd. You always want to get that championship trophy at the end of the season. Considering what we all went through, at least this team did throughout the middle of the season, where we just could not stay out of trouble, where we would get caught up in somebody else's mess or had issues with the transmissions or stuff like that forced me out of the race. It's a valiant effort, and I'm happy to be. Honestly, the only thing I can really say is you got to ask for a chance, and we got our chance tonight. And obviously, this format allowed us to get that championship, or come close to at least fight for it, and it's definitely different. It's something you got to get used to. And to come back from where we were a lap down, more or less out of it, unless we got a lucky break, and then for me to just drive the wheel off that thing, basically pulling Kyle Larson moves off the corner and just keeping it from playing a 3rd time. 3rd in the championship is a result we don't want, but we're happy to get. Is just got to come back stronger next year, and hopefully some of the wins that we let slip away this year we can get, and hopefully this last segment, if schedule remains the same for next year. Hopefully we can improve on Texas and Martinsville and here and have a better run at the championship.
Tonight is not the first time that we've been able to speak to you throughout the year. The number one machine has knocked off quite a good amount of solid and also trips to victory lane so far in the year. And it comes to a close with a third place again in the final championship standings. And for the final time before we let you guys head off for the offseason, everybody that made this run possible for you and the number one team.
Just all the guys that have supported me throughout this year, all my teammates back on AOR, when the Open Series getting better and better, going against tougher competition helped. All the sponsors on the cars, luckily didn't wreck it tonight, and Snap-on doesn't have to, tools don't have to be used tonight. Just basically you guys for broadcasting this, Brandon Mercer for letting me, and John Abbott for allowing me to come on here and have some fun, and, in my big mouth, obviously was saying some stuff through the middle of the season, being frustrated, but overall it's been a blast. And to be honest, the best guy all year, he rightfully won the championship when it came down to it. The only other driver that may have been the champion was Adam, but he didn't make it, and best guy did win the championship. So congrats to Adam on winning the race tonight, but bigger congrats to Eric. I don't know if he's got Jimmy Johnson's horseshoe or something, but definitely was consistent all year, and just, hopefully we can beat him next year.
Well, once again, thanks for taking a moment to talk with us, and again, congratulations on a solid effort, not only getting back up to the field, but showing the perseverance all season long, and good luck rolling forward into the 2015 campaign.
Thank you, Evan. Gonna take a nice break, and we'll be back, man.
We'll see you in Daytona. That is our fourth place finisher tonight, third overall for the number one of Thomas George, and the championship stage has been rolled out on the front straightaway, and Jacob Seelman, you've caught up with the guys of the hour.
It's time. There's been a lot of waiting to do for this. 32 races, thousands of miles, but after a long, long season, I get to hold a microphone and say that officially, Eric Brundys, you are the champion of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series for 2014. He's climbed from his car. Eric, what a drive. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. It was unbelievable, and you had so much pressure on you this whole race, and in the final 35 laps or so from Jonathan Cadell, just right there hounding you. What did it take from your seat to win this championship, to hold off that 11 in the final laps?
Oh, man, I appreciate it. Today was a really long day, just waiting for tonight to get here, and, I'm kind of glad it's all over. It was really stressful doing this whole chase thing, but, we had a lot of good guys racing us, and Jonathan really stepped up his game there at the end. He really was getting through 1 and 2 good, and I was just focusing, I'm just trying to hit my marks, and I really wanted to hit that gas bad coming out of 2, but, I had to eggshell it because it was just so loose, and you had the bump coming off the corner. And thankfully we were able to ride turn 3 really well up against the wall, and we got really good runoff, and we were able to open the lead back up a little bit every time. And, we just prayed there was no caution, because it would have been insane if there had been a caution, another restart. But, thankfully it was over quick, and, it worked out for us.
Eric, you've had such a dominant season. You led the standings by triple digits at the end of the regular season. In all, 5 wins. You had a clutch win in the chase at Dover that propelled you to round 2 and ultimately was the catalyst behind a pretty incredible run that you've made. Actually, as it's all told, scored the most points of any driver in this chase, and you came out on top of 3 guys who wanted it, I know, every bit as badly as you did. Did you feel like there was anything different that you guys did there in the closing laps? What do you feel like gave you the edge?
Well, yeah, I restarted around my teammates, and, they got shuffled back really quick, and so it was, I was really worried what was going to happen. But, the 3 guys we raced with, they're all classy guys. I knew they're going to run us clean, just like we ran them clean. And Thomas really did a good job battling back from being a lap down and fighting all the way back. And I think if we had another restart, we would have had to deal with him too. So these guys are they're really good and they're really clean, and because of that, I really enjoy racing here. It's been a blast.
You win the championship, Eric, now going ahead to 2015. We know, obviously, that this builds momentum for you guys. After a season like this, how do you top it?
I guess go win another one. Unfortunately, we this whole thing wasn't easy. This chase system makes you win it the hard way, and thankfully we were able to do that. And next year, if we do the full-time thing again, I mean, we could be eliminated in the first round. Just how it works, you gotta have some luck on your side, and you gotta qualify well, and you gotta stay out front. And we had a few bumps in the road in the chase, and it could have been a lot bigger problems. And thankfully, in both times we got wrecked. In the last month, we were able to salvage a finish. So, you just never know.
You don't, but what we do know is you came out on top over tonight and over this season, Eric. Before we get to the really good stuff, I know it's not possible by yourself. It's the list of supporters. We've talked to you a bunch, but one more time to cap off what's been a truly remarkable season. Who makes it happen for you in the 94 team?
First of all, I'd like to thank all the people that tuned in tonight. I know there was a lot of people watching tonight. I'd also like to thank my awesome teammates who were there for me all year, looking out for me on the track, and just being supportive and being there for me. I'd like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank the broadcasters we had earlier in the year. We haven't forgot about them, Michael Keaton, guys like that, Michael Woolley, and then you guys, LSRTV, YouTube broadcasters are phenomenal. Some of my favorite, and you guys really do a good job. So just want you guys to know that I appreciate it, and I think we all appreciate it here.
We appreciate it. Eric, what a season. When it counted, you had ice in your veins tonight, and I think we can say that you've been the Iceman this season. You proved it tonight, and get out of the way right now as we bring in the execs from RSR here for the championship trophy presentation. I'm going to turn the microphone over to one of the guys who has done so much for this series, Brennan Mercer.
Eric, just want to congratulate you on a fantastic drive, not only tonight but the entire season. Pretty safe to say that the fastest guy did win the championship, and we'd like to award you with the 2014 Full Throttle Cup Series champion, and we hope that you enjoy it on behalf of everybody at RSR, everybody at LSRTV, and everybody that's watching the broadcast throughout the year. So once again, congratulations to Mr. Eric Brundy's 2014 champion.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it, man.
One more time. That is... In Brennan's words right there, your champion for 2014, the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series goes to Eric Brundy's. Eric, I just want to say one more time, congratulations as well. It's been a long season. It's been fun to watch you strive to better yourself throughout this entire campaign, and looking forward to seeing you back in 2015. Go celebrate with your crew. You've earned it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
That's going to wrap it up, Evan, from the championship stage. I want to turn it to you for a minute. Let's take one more look at the Garry Mercer Trucking Full Field Rundown, capped and headed, of course, by Adam Benefield, who took the race win tonight.
Yeah, Benefield got home the checkered flag, make it a statement that number 85 team is going to be one to look out for rolling forward into next season. Brundy's was able to get that championship via that P2 result, and it was the Chasers that stacked up these next four spots. Brundy's in second. Jonathan Cadell with a third-place result would get second in the championship. A fourth-place result for Thomas George would get him third, and Dan Murray with a fifth-place result would get him fourth in the championship standings. David Comstock would come home in the number 6 spot. Nathan Little in 7. 7th. Steve Gottschalk 8th. 9th place would go to Kevin Linden. Jimmy North would round out the top 10. Scott Simley was able to get an 11th place result. Stenzel slid back a little bit after charging through the field early for 12th place. John Wilco 13th. 14th would go to Jason Lester, and Rich Jett would round out the lead lap cars in 15th position. Only machine 1 lap down. Greg Evans, a solid drive, does not come home the way he was hoping for after trouble mid-race. Gets 16th position. 17th to Corbin Hemstreet. Brian Harvey 18th. 19th to Mark Bratcher. John Higman Jr. a P20 result. Jose Gonzalez in 21st. 22nd, Matt Lacrosse. Stephen Herring 23rd. 24th to Keith Brooks Jr. LD Sarabia going to get a 25th place finish for it. 26th to Brennan Mercer starting park, and he obviously Brennan joining us up here in the booth, and we thank him for that. And also Rhett McBride will finish this one in 27th place, and that was the full field here tonight.
Before we close this broadcast tonight, Brennan, I want to turn to you first, because what a season. I mean, you and I talked about it during the broadcast, how you said this has played out better than you could have pictured it when the season started. Now that we've officially crowned a champion in Eric Brundy's, and we tie this all up in a nice little bow, any final thoughts about what's been truly an exciting 2014 season to watch?
Yep, I had a fun time driving it, and I had a fun time admitting it. It was a blast, and all the nerves came down to one last race, and it all came down. And like I said earlier, I think the fastest car prevailed, and with a great challenge with Jonathan Goodell right at the end too as well. So once again, congrats to Mr. Brundy's.
Evan, to you next here. Final thoughts from this season. You and I have been up here the whole way, and you know, how many times have we said that we didn't know what that was, but it just happened. I know what that was tonight, and that was Eric Brundy's putting together another flawless performance to win a championship. What a season it's been.
Yeah, it didn't quite take a checkered flag tonight, but it was another absolutely solid performance, and that's what we had seen at the 94 camp all year long. And this race sums up the season quite well. We had a lot of guys have some trouble. I mean, again, you can't overlook the drive that one car did. Thomas able to come back from a lap down to really put up a legitimate fight for it before he gave up, and he would come home third in the championship standings. I mean, you know, biggest credits also to Jonathan and Dan as well for, I mean, just putting on such a great show. They kept it clean, they kept it green, and I don't think we could have asked much more out of another great championship and another great year also, 2014 in the books. Not sure, you know, Monday nights without the Full Throttle Cup. I know RSR's got a lot more stuff on the way here, and we look forward to that, but just can't say enough about these guys. A class organization, glad to have them with us on LSRTV, and we look forward to 2015 when we get it kicked off at Daytona.
I'll echo those sentiments, Evan. The Icebreaker Series, I guess, gets to come in on Monday nights and satisfy us for some good racing until we kick off the new Full Throttle Cup Series in 2015. But I just real quick want to say thank you to the drivers, the administrators, all the partners of this year's Full Throttle Cup Series who tonight they crowned their third champion in 3 years. And Brennan, again, special thanks to you. You said it. You've admin this the whole way, and your efforts have propelled Full Throttle Cup TV towards what I anticipate being another fantastic year in 2015. Hoping to be back up here on the box to do it again. And I don't know how we're going to top this, but I'm looking forward to finding out. I'm excited about this.
It'll be fun.
I also want to add in congratulations to Eric Brundy's from LSR TV and to all of the people at RSR and Garry Mercer Trucking. We look forward to seeing you in the Icebreaker Series.
All right, what a year. I've said it a few times, and, you know, I don't know what else to say other than that. It's been an incredible year, and I've just been glad to be a part of it. So one more time for the staff, the crew, for Evan Pasoko, my broadcast partner here in the broadcast booth, Brennan Mercer, John Abbott, all the staff at RSR, our executive producer, Laura Lawson. Congratulations from all of us again to Eric Brundy's, the champion, the 2014 RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. And Gonna kick it back off again in February at Daytona. What a year it's been. So for everybody that has gone into making these broadcasts happen over the course of the season, and everybody behind the scenes who may not get the thank yous that they deserve, this one's for you. I'm Jacob Seelman for LSRTV and RealSimRacing.com, saying congratulations one more time to the Iceman, Eric Brundys, who defies all expectations, wins the championship. That's it for this season, and we'll see you in Daytona 2015 to kick it off again. Race fans, keep it off the wall until we meet again. We'll see you next time on the web for the final time from Homestead, Miami Speedway. So long.